Okay, so I am back again, Ni Hao, and I am talking about Zhongguo Dianqi Jiamu and Zhongguo Dianying, uh, talking about Chinese television shows and movies. And earlier I was mentioning to you about why I watch them, how I got hooked. Yes, but it's this way young, but it's evolved. My interest has evolved beyond just one movie or one program. And I discovered that there were some other aspects of Asian costume dramas that are particular interest. Number one, by far, the storylines, the believability and relatability of the characters that are portraying real life people issues, even though those incidents, issues, those stories may have occurred thousands of years ago. A lot are just simply very relatable to what people go through today. So I thought I'd also share with you some of the things that occurred to me as I've been watching these productions, that I'm seeing a pattern that I had never, I guess, been interested in before, noticed before. For instance, I never enjoyed watching a war movie. I just didn't have an interest. But the stories and how the Asian costume dramas evolved into war, that's what has been a particular interest. And like I shared the last time, you peel back that onion and you're talking about a relationship that has gone sour. So yes, it's often about people wanting power and control and money and material gain. But you peel back that onion, a lot of times you're looking at people who are hurt over relationships. And a lot of times they're over romantic relationships that can wind up being a war. But I know that might sound like I'm oversimplifying a war, but the way they play it out, it's rather interesting. So war is the other thing that I never really took interest in, at least not since Bruce Lee. And that's wuxia. And wuxia is martial arts. And I became interested in them as I am now watching not just wuxia because I want to learn karate or kung fu or anything, but there is a choreography behind how the men, but also how the women actually do martial arts, mainly with swords. I know the swords, that sounds so dangerous, but here's kind of the interesting part is you have in these Asian movies very more often than not extremely petite ladies who are young ladies or women. I don't know, maybe probably like 73 pounds or something like that, dripping wet. But they have a skill with martial arts and swords. And so I looked up how much does a sword weigh? The sword might weigh more than she does. I don't know, I guess most swords weigh about a pound and a half or up to 3 pounds, something like that. But as petite and demure as these young ladies will look, or old ladies, just ladies in general, they are skilled with a sword. But you know something? They're often defending not just themselves, but their family, their relationships, their countries. And it ain't no joke. And they don't look rugged like they gonna bite off bottle caps or anything, but they just take care of business with their swords. So there's a choreography behind it that I find quite interesting. And here's what's interesting about it. One of my friends from college found out that I was watching these movies, and she said, "Oh, well, if you're into Chinese costume dramas, you got to see Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon." She said, "It was out back when we got out of college." I was like, "I never heard of that." Come to find out, it's an internationally famous movie that I had never watched before, but I watched it and I find out that the leads in the movie were actually ballerinas. And so I'm like, they are so good. I'm watching this movie, they are so good. But after I watch a program, I go back and even during the program, I thought, is this real? Who are these people? And come to find out, where is my note on this one? I should have it in front of me. But anyway, the movie Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, absolutely phenomenal, I guess, blockbuster movie that I had never known about. But oh, here it goes. Zhang Ziza and Chang Chen were in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and phenomenal acting. My preference, as I've said before, the very long TV dramas, but I certainly can see why this movie made it globally. So if you haven't seen it, you're into wuxia or martial arts movies, check it out. Check it out. So let me go back, because I know last time I talked about war movies and not liking them, but how and why I'm now engaged in them in the Chinese costume dramas. And I mentioned a movie by the name of The Longest Day of Chang'An. And I mentioned it was probably 2021. Oh, it's 2019, my bad. Accept my apology, give me some forgiveness there. But I noticed that in the movie, phenomenal acting, but they don't spare, I guess, the expense. The cast is so broad. And so the camera is not always focused on one celebrity. And in this case, you had a young man by the name of Jackson Lee Yi in the lead role. Later found out he's a very well-known, young, top-of-the-line actor, didn't know him before. But then you also had Yue Cho from a previous movie that I had talked about. And you had Jiman Hansu. So I've been calling him Jiman Hansu, but you may know him. As I said, they brought in a brother into this movie. But anyway, and then you had Lee Janin. But here's the key. I'm not going to do these laundry lists of actors. I'm not going to compare them. But anything that I'm talking about, it's going to be because of the caliber of the acting, the production, the scenery, the wardrobe, the wuxia choreography. And I'm just believing that for those of you out there who want excellent quality productions, and maybe you're into theater or you're into costume design or storyline development, check these out because they are absolutely awesome. But anyway, lastly, I just wanted to mention once again that because I'm really into the TV shows, preference is not to do the short movies because I like to see character development. But a friend of mine, my dear friend, I ain't gonna name her, but she didn't want to watch my Chinese costume dramas, but she went and got hooked on Korean costume dramas. And so she wanted me to watch her programs with her so that we can talk about them. Yeah, anyway, I took her up on an offer, but one Korean costume drama based on history, had no idea. Name of it is Masquerade, made in 2012. And there's a lot of Chinese movies that have the same titles, so or not just Chinese, but Asian movies have the same titles. So sometimes you have to do a little bit of searching. Again, a phenomenally successful, globally successful movie back from 2012. Never heard of it. Yes, it's about the Joseon Korean history, a king from that time era. I'd encourage you, if you want to start out with baby steps, you don't want to do about 50, 60, 70 episodes, TV programs, check out Masquerade. Another one I thought was pretty funny. The name of it is Thousand Faces of Dunjia. And there's a young lady by the name of Nini. I tell you, she had me laughing, but it's an hour, hour plus. Okay, give me a long television program. So that was an hour. Now, the other one, uh, Red Sorghum, hour and a half. Let me tell you, fortunately, there is also another version that's a TV program that I don't know, it's like 70 episodes, and right up my alley. But Red Sorghum, I'm like, this is brilliant writing. This is a masterpiece. So the movie was made, what, back in 2007? I believe I might have it wrong. I was like, this is unbelievable. So I did my research and come to find out that the author of the show or of the book had won a Pulitzer Prize for the writing. His name is Mo Yan or Mo Yan. And I was like, I understand why. It's phenomenal storyline, phenomenal writing. And I'm so glad they made a TV show out of it. And in the TV show, you had the young lady from the lead actress who was in Rudy's Royal Love in the Palace. But in the movie, the young lady was Gong Li. And Gong Li was also in, what's the name of the movie? She also was in Crouching Tiger Hidden. So I see, a lot of these great productions, they have actors, actresses who work in other movies. But again, the caliber of the writing, the storyline, the production. There was wuxia in Red Sorghum as well. There was war in the television production as well. But I'm going to end it here, okay? The Flirting Scholar. Gong Li was also one of the lead characters in there, and Stephen Chow. Slapstick comedy. If you simply want something to laugh at, like I said, even in Thousand Faces of Dunjia, funny stuff that I think you'll find. But again, Thousand Faces of Dunjia, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, the movie version of Red Sorghum, and Masquerade that I mentioned, and The Flirting Scholar. Those are short, an hour and a half. So you can get a taste of that. But thanks for joining me again, and I'll be back talking some more about Asian costume dramas. Sai Chen.